Wasn't talking to you, was I?
No. Clearly.
Well, now I'm talking to everybody. So, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics episode. Today we're talking Packers. We are live on Friday this week. Normally we're live on Tuesdays, but this week we are live on Friday because Tuesday was Christmas Eve, and it was the day after the Packers game. So we'll let that one marinate for a couple days, and we are back on Friday. So we're going to hit the intro, and then we are going to do our Carrington Valentine autograph giveaway.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Alrighty, so we posted earlier this week, actually it was last week, I should say, about Carrington Valentine having a great game, having his first career interception, coming against the Seahawks. And we threw up a post for this guy right here, this Carrington Valentine autograph that we are going to give away here on the show in just a minute. The caveat was you had to be liking the post and following the show. So we were trying to get to 8,000 followers before the end of the year. Thankfully, with that post, we were able to get over that mark. So we have hit the 8,000 follower mark. Now, the rules of engagement for that were that you had to be liking the post and following the show. So we did get a lot of engagement on that post, which is great. We love to see it. Out of those that liked the post, this is everybody that follows the show as well as liking the post. So we have 79 names here, 79 names. And I have a random generator here from 1 to 79. So Bryant, give me a number 1 through 5. Tell me how many times to randomize this, and that number will be the number who wins.
3 times.
3 times. All right, here we go.
3 times.
1, 2, 3. Number 4. Number 4 is Max Ferguson. So right there, Max Ferguson. I will send you a message after the show. Carrington Valentine autograph for you, Max. So thank you for liking and following the show and for jumping in that giveaway for that Carrington Valentine card. So good job for you. Congrats, and look forward to sending that out to you. Everybody else that jumped in there, I have more stuff to give away. I have more. So as guys keep playing well, I got some Loves, I got some Reeds, I got some Wicks, I got some Watson. We're going to give more stuff away to try to help us, but also to send some stuff out to fellow fans. I have 2 Giannis cards as well, so keep an eye out for maybe some Bucks giveaways too. Alrighty, so we're going to jump in, and we're going to start with the Packers versus Saints recap, and going into it, we're going to start with Simon and the defensive scheme.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably the best. I feel like every week we're almost saying this now, is the Packers did an excellent job of getting pressure on Spencer Rattler pretty much all night. Depending on where you looked, Brenton Cox or Rashawn Gary or whatever had the most pressures. I'm not trying to take away from someone's. And they also held the Saints ground game to 2.6 yards per carry. And yeah, it was disgusting. One thing I guess I'd like to highlight the most is out of plays where they had 7 or 8 defenders in the box, this is how it broke down. If they had 7 defenders in the box, the Saints ran the ball 5 times for 1 yard. If they had 8, so that was 5 rushes. That was 5 plays. If they had 8 or more people in the box, they ran the ball 3 times for 4 yards, and then Spencer Rattler threw a pick.
Holy hell.
So that didn't really go well for them.
Wow. I saw the statistic that the Saints only ran 2 plays inside the Packers' 30-yard line, and both of them were turnovers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough. Justin, happy holidays. Hopefully the new year is filled with lots of you watching the Wisco Fanatics show. But, yeah. Jake, how about the pass rush?
First, I want to address a couple things that Simon said. Simon, that's a good thing that we keep saying that every week, that, this week is the best week that the defense has played. That's great for us as we're gearing up for the playoffs, right? Also, don't worry about stepping on people's toes, man. If you got to get information out there, man. That's what this is for, right? In terms of pass rush, we had 3 sacks, one by Brenton Cox Jr., who thrived in his new role since getting rid of Preston Smith. He has really turned into a nice piece in the pass rush front for the Green Bay Packers. He was the highest graded Packer overall on PFF this week, so good for him. He was a tenth of a point away from being the highest rated player in the game. So take that for what you will. Devontae Wyatt had a sack. I want to give him credit for his motor on that play. He showed incredible hustle on that play, and I also want to give credit to Brooks on that play for doing an amazing stunt and basically taking both guards in the center out of the factor. And then Nixon got a forced fumble on his sack. That was an absolute great call. And Nixon honestly, Nixon's not a big guy, but the way that he hit Spencer Rattler looked like he got ran over by a semi, dude. It was like, oh my God, dude. Imagine if I was a 300-pounder, dude. You might have been paralyzed on the field. LVN, Igbare, Cox, and Carl Brooks were the people who had quarterback hits this week. So good job by them. They didn't get sacks, but they still made Rattler hit the ground. And then we had 23 hurries by 11 different players. 10 of the 11 players are from the D-line and 1 linebacker. That's Wilson had the one from the linebacker position, but 10 from the D-line. That is incredible. The defensive line, I'm not going to take all of Tyler's thunder here, but the defensive line is really, really starting to cook the last couple of weeks, and Hafley is really starting to cook up some different moves, not just with the A-gap blitzing with the middle linebackers, but also with the stunts. He's doing a lot of cool stuff up there. So pass rush was awesome, and it continues to be a factor in these games.
I'm kind of to the point where I do think that I feel like Igbare has been struggling a little bit down as of late, so I'm kind of hoping LVN can start to see more snaps. But I did see Brenton Cox actually led the team in snaps. So what do you think about that?
For me personally, here's the thing that I think about Igbare. I think Igbare struggled so much in the run game last year that I think he's put so much of an emphasis on it that he's become a total edge rush player. Now, he doesn't always get the pass rush stats, but he probably is our best run defender from the edge this year, in my opinion. So I don't want to take too many snaps away from him. He's the best run defender. He makes a lot of big plays out there, and he sets the edge very well.
I strongly agree with you on we can kind of use this to transition into the D-line, on the emphasis of improving that part of his game, because we talked about it a lot last season, that he needed to improve on setting the edge. And that is something that he's been massively improved on this season as far as run stopping. So I do agree with you on that part of it. Looking at the comments really quick, Capo said, go Pack, go, and we dominated in every aspect. Absolutely. I don't care that it's the Saints. I don't care that they're a bad team. I don't care that they're playing with a bunch of backups at a lot of positions. 34-0 against anybody is impressive. I do not care or argue with the wall.
Yep.
Zane, we're gonna get into the preview in a little bit. We're gonna finish recapping the Saints first. Steve said he loves to see the young pass rushers balling. Meanwhile, Preston Smith was inactive this week.
Wow. I saw a thing that said he's only had like 6 pressures since he's been traded. I will say that going back to Brian's point about Igbare, I just think they have a really good rotation going on between the 4 guys, and it's been absolutely working. I don't care who gets like more or less snaps at this point, because it seems to be like someone's going to eat that week. And last week it was Igbare, even if he only took over 1 series where he had 3 plays in a row where I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
Where you're just basically forcing a punt by yourself.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as long as they're being effective in their snaps, which they all have a case for, I don't think there's any reason to try to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing.
Yeah, I mean, Barry still ended up with 2 pressures, a sack and a pressure, or I'm sorry, a sack, a quarterback hit and a pressure. Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't all lost.
Yeah. Okay, so looking at the defensive line specifically, Rashawn Gary was the Packers' #1 graded defender. He had 6 pressures out of 30 that the Packers had as a team. 30 pressures on its own is wild. Like the Saints don't have a bad offensive line.
No.
It's not top 5, but it's not a bad offensive line. They have some good players over there. 30 pressures is ridiculous. And then for Rashawn Gary to have 6 of them, that's 20% of the team's pressures from one guy.
Yep.
The defensive line in total had 23 of the 30 pressures. So looking at it, this was something that I've talked about for the last few weeks, is getting pressure without having to blitz. Getting those 4 men on the front, just getting pressure. Lucas Van Ness had 4. Devontae Wyatt and Carl Brooks had 3 each. And then looking at Devontae Wyatt, he had 3 run stops and a sack. He was tied for Edgerrin Cooper with the team lead on run stops, actually. So a little bit more on Devontae Wyatt when we get into the preview. But Bryant, how did you feel about the linebackers / tackling?
Yeah, I thought Edgerrin Cooper just continues to excel. He just pops off the page or the screen really. Like he's just so much faster than what we've seen at that position. And yeah, I know Quay is fast, but there's just a different processing speed that Edgerrin Cooper has versus Quay Walker at this point. Not taking anything away from Quay, he did have a couple of really good games before his most recent injury, so I'm excited to get him back. Unfortunately, we'll get into it, but it won't be this week. But
sorry, this made me laugh.
That was a good one.
Great game by Edgerrin again. He's really kind of starting to get kind of noticed by the national media too. If you kind of start hearing the talking heads talk about him, and the defense are starting to mention Cooper. Even his teammates are starting to say stuff about it too. I think, who was it? I can't remember, but basically said he has Hall of Fame talent. I'm like, whoa, slow down. So don't put too much on his head right now.
He's going to be a star. Let's start there.
Yeah.
He's going to be rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope
the
so.
Other two had fine games, pretty much what we've expected out of them. I will say Eric Wilson missed a couple tackles. They're definitely they're a liability in the middle of the field. Edgerrin Cooper helps cover some of that up because he can, with his coverage ability, and even if they're still making a catch on a pass, he's making those passes a lot harder. Just tackling right away. The team as a total only missed 6 tackles, which is decent. Saints didn't have that many plays, but it was still good. 6 missed tackles. I feel like I've said that several times this year where we're like 5, 6, 2.
4.
There hasn't been but maybe a handful of double-digit missed tackle games, so maybe a couple, to be honest. So really good tackling still from this team. So overall, they played well. I'm really hoping Quay can get healthy before too long and get in there with Coop.
Yeah.
Justin said that Cooper is going to be his next jersey order. Hopefully he stays with the team for a long time. I think that's a pretty safe one. As far as the linebackers are concerned, I get that Edgerrin Cooper is playing fantastic, and I love it. But it doesn't have to be a thing where you go online, you make a post about Edgerrin Cooper and be like, we've had Quay, who's a bust for so long, and now Edgerrin Cooper is this shiny new toy. We can't forget that before his injury, Quay Walker was having probably his best 3 or 4 game stretch of his career.
Yeah. And maybe Cooper being healthy now and maybe being able to play a position that Quay wasn't 100% comfortable with is going to allow Quay to get more into a role that he's comfortable with, like rushing. That we have 2 linebackers at this point that can get to the quarterback for sure with Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper. Yes. So yeah, we just need to get them on the field together.
That's where I was going with, is having those 2 together is going to be just another potential boost for the defense. And McDuffie and Wilson, they've had their ups and downs. Wilson's definitely had some higher ups than McDuffie has, but McDuffie's kind of just that low ceiling, high floor, kind of consistent type player. Yeah. But Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper are our 2 best linebackers.
Oh, yeah.
So the emphasis shouldn't be on Edgerrin Cooper is better than Quay Walker. It should be that the linebacker room is better with Cooper and Quay both healthy. Steve said it's tough not to like the number 56 on the jersey, too.
That's why I ordered a Bakhtiari jersey.
Can't go wrong. Simon said out of the total pressure that the Packers had, Trevor Penning allowed 11 of them. That's tough. All right, let's go into the 3rd and 4th down defense.
Oh, God, Simon. All right.
I'm here for comedic value only. I provide nothing else.
Shut up. I'm trying to focus again. We held them to 4 for 11, so that's pretty good. They went 0 for 1 on third and shorts, which I consider 1 to 3 yards. They went 2 for 4 on third and mediums, which I consider 4 to 7 yards because those are kind of the in-betweeners. I have a signed Bach jersey. Of course you do.
I'm actually jealous.
Honestly, me too. And they went 2 for 6 on third and longs. The 1 third and long that they picked up was quite literally the only good play that Rattler made the entire
Dude,
game.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. That was fucking awesome.
Okay,
I can admit even more how awesome it was because he threw an interception on the next play.
Yes,
which makes it even better.
I believe him jumping was unnecessary, although it did look cool. It was unnecessary. He could have literally just set his feet and fired the ball over there. But congrats on him making one good throw and 25 terrible throws. So good job, Spencer Rattler.
It looked cool. I mean, I'll give him style points and shit. Like,
I think the next play looked cooler.
But you did a cool pass.
True.
Okay. Simon, how did you feel about the secondary? You're still muted, my dude.
My bad. I was typing.
11 people watching live, and you're going to pull some shit like that?
Yes.
You're fired.
Yep. Saw that coming. I saw something the other day, and someone said that Eric Stokes has been playing pretty good lately. And I looked into it a little bit. Since I think the last 4 weeks, Eric Stokes has 6 catches allowed, 22 receiving yards on 14 targets in his coverage. That's pretty good. Though he did end up giving a TD away in the Detroit game, but he also he still doesn't have a pass breakup. But he's been really good in coverage, and he hasn't been targeted a lot, and he hasn't allowed a lot of catches. And PFF grade, whatever, is 4th best amongst quarterbacks since week 11 in coverage grade. So, like, this is kind of what I was hoping to see all season from Stokes, and I think what the Packers hoped they'd see kind of going into the season, not giving, the cornerback room much love in the offseason. Or no love at all. But with Jair out, like, Eric Stokes been playing pretty good ball. Excuse me. Flowers to Zane Anderson for his first interception on his first start. So good for him. And then his interception was really good. So there was a guy covering the flat, so he decided to drop off, and it was just easy pickings from there. If he didn't pick it off, Carrington Valentine was right there. He was going to pick it too. Yeah. So good on both of them. PFF credited him with a dropped interception. I went back and looked, but I couldn't find it. I don't know if any one of you guys happen to see it.
For Stokes?
No, for Zane Anderson.
I'm trying to think.
They credited him with what?
Dropped interception.
Oh, he had a pass breakup earlier in the game.
Maybe that was what they counted it as.
Earlier in the game.
Yeah, I must have missed that play, but Eric Stokes, he had 1 allowed catch on 3 targets for 4 yards. Carrington Valentine, he had 1 on 1 target for 20 yards. Like I said, he also forced a fumble on the sideline. Unfortunately, it went out of bounds. Good for him. McKinney allowed 1 catch, and he had a pass breakup for 17 yards. Keyshawn Nixon, 5 or 7 for 55 yards, and he had a forced incompletion. Valentine went 1 for 4 yards. So overall, a pretty good, solid day for the secondary.
So I'm looking into it. Steve asked if Stokes is going to be back. It'll be on our injury report later on. I just wanted to check because he wasn't.
I think he means back next year. Stokes is not injured.
As well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
If he's back next year, it'll be on a very cheap deal. But
yeah.
It would be interesting to see what they're going to do with Stokes because they didn't extend his 5th-year option.
5th-year option, yeah.
And we'll probably go over that in the offseason, who we think they're going to break back and who they don't, who they aren't, who they don't.
Zane asked who we think covers Jefferson this week. It'll be
a mix of guys.
That's what I was going to say, kind of a combined effort.
Because he also plays, he's playing like 37% of his snaps in the slot, so it'll be a mix of guys.
Yeah. Okay. Jake, red zone defense. Okay, Bryant, special teams.
That's exactly what I wanted. Literally, you could just do that. They didn't have a red zone attempt, so go right ahead, dude.
Yep. 0 trips to the red zone for the Saints. Love that. All right. Bryant, how did you feel about special teams?
Pretty good, especially about McManus. I actually came into this game thinking the one thing we haven't really seen from McManus is how he looks in range. He absolutely drilled that 55-yarder. I mean, and it's not like the conditions were perfect. They weren't bad, but they weren't perfect out there. So he smoked that 55-yarder, so good from him. I think Whelan had one pretty bad punt that he'd probably want back. Other than that, he was fine, but he didn't even have to punt all that often. But overall, there was a couple breakdowns on kick return coverage that they were able to get like to 35-40, but nothing major. So overall, I thought it was a pretty solid game from special teams. They made their kicks. I don't like when he walked out there for that 55-yarder. I was like, okay, let's see what But I would forgive him for missing that one. But that's a hard kick. That's a long kick, 55 yards. It was nice to see that he has that range. I gotta think at this point that they are 100% intent on bringing him back.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Yeah, I would say.
Zane said McManus was the best in-season pickup we absolutely needed.
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely has shored up a place of or a position of
need.
Shout out to Malik Willis though, even though that was like kind of
season.
That was a pretty good one.
That was in season. I would put Malik above McManus, but McManus is right there.
That was a pretty good one.
That was in preseason.
Yeah, that's part of the season.
I don't know. I consider preseason in season, don't you?
I don't.
I mean,
you don't consider preseason in season?
Is right in the name there.
Are you drunk?
That's not the. Yes, I am.
Literally right in the name.
Friday.
Yes, I am.
Preseason.
Pre-season.
Meaning
before.
Before
regular season.
That's not in season.
I think that counts as the season.
I don't think because the record resets to fucking zeros, brother.
The season for me starts in August.
Shit counts. We're not Bears fans. None of that shit counts.
Counts for me.
Didn't they pick him up after the last preseason game?
No. I'm pretty sure it was before that.
Yeah, it was before cuts. Still, not in season.
Yeah, I don't count it in season.
Anyways.
Let's put it to a poll. Put it on the page.
I thought Matt LaFleur and Jeff Hafley were in their bags with their play calling. There were no challenges this week and really no 2-minute situations. So, not a ton to take away there. What I will say is I am glad that they stayed locked in, especially with a lot of the second string players coming in to finish the shutout. And I knew it was going to happen, that people were going to complain about the Packers only scoring like 3 points in the third quarter, but they scored 34 points against what is still, even without a couple of playmakers, still a decent defense. Like, we went through it. Their defensive line is legit. They have a good linebacker, and they still have a good safety that Josh Jacobs sent 4 yards out of bounds, which we'll get to. But
he did.
I was glad as far as the team goes that they stayed locked in to finish the shutout. Yeah. Justin said back in 1985, hey, we are 5 days away. I mean, 4 days, plus the midnight. We are less than 5 days away from Chicago Bears fans being able to celebrate the 40th anniversary of their last Super Bowl.
You guys want to hear the funniest thing ever? The Bears last night with their loss tied their longest losing streak in their history. You know who they play the last week of the season? We get to give them their longest losing streak in their history. I love that so much for us.
But hey, they're winning 11 games next year.
Yeah. And the year after that.
Yeah. All right, Simon, going to the offensive side of the ball, how did you feel about the tight ends?
Yeah, Tucker Kraft did his thing. He started off the first half on fire. He had 3 grabs for 63 yards and then pretty quiet the rest of the game. In the receiving department, I thought he was okay blocking guys. He played a total of 43 snaps. John Fitzpatrick ended up playing the second most snaps with 26. Ben Sims with 13, and Luke Musgrave only played 8. And I think they're just kind of like easing him back in as he comes back from his injury. So I'll probably expect to see a little bit more this week as he ramps up for the playoffs.
for sure. All right, Bryant, how did you feel about the wide receivers?
Yeah, I thought they had a pretty solid game. Jaden Reed had a good game. I thought Love. We can talk about it a little more. I thought Love missed a couple opportunities to have really big plays from them, but overall, really good game. Wicks got credited for a drop, but I can't think of an obvious one, and maybe I just missed it or something. But he did get credit for a drop, but he made that touchdown, which was nice little play there. The DB tried to completely flop, even though it was within a yard of line of scrimmage, and Wicks just kind of ran into the end zone wide open. So that was kind
Dude,
of
that was the funniest shit I've ever
Yeah.
seen. I've
thought
never
it was
seen
awful.
something like that. It was awful.
I thought they looked good on, and Watson and Reed looked good on end rounds. It's unfortunate about Watson's injury. Anyone that's saying he's injury prone or needs to learn how to fall or whatever, just shut the hell up. The guy landed on his knee. It was nothing that Watson did. He did not do anything
Hey,
about it.
it's not like Christian Watson relies on his speed to get open.
Yeah. Like,
He can play through a bone bruise.
yeah. Yeah. Also, anyone that's like, oh, it's just a bruise, like a bone, that does not feel good if you've ever had a bone bruise. That is
Dude,
a
it's terrible.
aching, painful thing.
You feel it
Like,
every time you step.
yeah. So, look, if he plays this week, great. If not, unfortunate. I would like him to play, but I also want him. Look, we can talk about this later, but we're pretty much locked in where we're going to be. So, just leave it at that, and I'd rather him be healthy.
Zane said it feels like Wicks has been playing better after all these drops. Agreed, and that's still something that he's going to have to continue improving. Chris, I don't have much time, boys. I've said this leading up to the game to my dad. No matter the outcome, I think Green Bay has a minimum of 3 sacks and a pick against Minnesota this week. Obviously, I hope it doesn't happen. He said, "Skull, my dudes, keep killing the game." Chris, we appreciate you popping in. Yeah, we'll talk about the Vikings game in a little bit here after we finish going through the offense. Steve asked the question, will Matt LaFleur ever go for it in plus territory from the 45, or will he always try to draw them off sides? Feels like they could set it up because it's so predictable now. I think part of it kind of depends on the timeout situation and time. But I think if you're going to see Matt LaFleur go for a 4th down, you're going to know on 3rd down. If we get into a situation where it's like 3rd and 6 and they run a play that is designed to go for like 4 yards, that just tells you that they're going for it on 4th down. Other than that, I think they're going to try doing it to get the free plays. And obviously, if it's within a 5-yard situation, they're going to try to get that just to get the free 1st down. As far as pretending like they're going to try to get the free 1st down, maybe I'd do it against the Bears just to troll them a little bit in week 18. But other than that, I think they're pretty straightforward, just trying to do it just to see if the other team will make a mistake that gives them a 1st down.
I got 2 thoughts. First of all, Chris, never say skull in my chat ever again. Steve, I think I agree with what Tyler said, but I also think that it depends on the score. We were killing the Saints, so there was no reason for us to, go for it in some scenarios in this game. I know they ended up. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, but because I don't want to give anything away. But they did go for a few 4th downs this week, and they picked them up. But we don't want to turn into a Dan Campbell situation where we're just going for every 4th down just because that's who we are. I think we got to be smart. I think the Packers have a good defense. They have a good special team, so you can lean on those things in situations as well. So, now that we have a kicker, we don't have to really go into that scenario. I mean, time in game, down and distance, that kind of stuff all kind of matters in those things.
Yeah. Justin said,
No, I agree with
probably the Wicks biggest critic. Sheesh. But I admit he's been better. Chris said, not going to happen. I support y'all, but I ride or die Minnesota.
I feel
you and your
good,
brother,
bro. I was just giving you shit. It's hate week, man. It's hate week.
Zane said it feels like 4th down depends on the team you're facing. That's definitely part of it as well. Okay. Yeah. Also, punting has been good. That is also a fact. Yes. Daniel Whelan has been pretty good as well from the punting.
Yes.
Looking at the passing game distribution, 9 different players were targeted. Christian Watson, due to his injury, and Bo Melton only had 1 target each. I will say we'll get into the run game, but there were more touches to be had for some of the wide receivers in that aspect as well. Brooks and Wilson each had 1 target each. Josh Jacobs, 4 catches on 4 targets. Tucker Kraft had 3 catches on 4 targets. There was one throwaway that was in his direction that technically got counted as a target. Definitely always great games. Justin. Other than that, looking at it, Jordan Love was 1 for 4 on 20-plus yard throws. There were a couple that he just kind of missed, one to Dobbs and one to Watson. Or was it one to Dobbs and one to Reed or Wicks? I'm drawing blanks. All right. From 10 to 19 yards, he was 3 for 4, had a 116.7 rating. From 0 to 9 yards, he was 6 for 8, had a 135.7 rating, and then he was 6 for 7 behind the line of scrimmage. So as far as the distribution is concerned, no complaints, and just kind of similar to what we've seen from Jordan Love. So, Bryant, how did you feel about the offensive line?
Bryant, before you start, I just have to ask, do you wipe less than AJ Hawk?
Has to.
What does that mean?
I don't know if you've seen that clip. Did you see
No.
that clip?
He had a thing on McAfee where he had like his all-time like highest amount of wipes was like 50.
When you took a shit. No, he said 100, bro. He said 100. He said 100. He wiped 100 times on one shit.
Oh, he had like the permanent marker thing going on?
Yeah, bro. He said 100, bro. 100. That's insane.
Chris, appreciate you hopping in. You have a good night as well.
Chris.
We're excited for Sunday as well. Good luck. Hope you suck. But all right. Now I'll let Brian talk about the O-line.
Go ahead.
Yeah, really good game again. I mean, when you give up 0 sacks and like a handful of hurries or whatever it was, you can't really complain. I mean, they've looked great. They've given up the second least amount of sacks in the league, only to Buffalo, and I can guarantee Josh Allen saved many of those. And actually, their run blocking I thought was better this game as well. If you're going by PFF grades, this was like one of the first games that all of them were like 60 or above in both pass blocking and run blocking. It was nice to see, unfortunately, Andre Dillard got a concussion at some point, either in that game or this week, but he got out there for a handful of snaps, and they look good on Malik Willis's drives. So kudos to them, too, getting in the game and making something happen. So, yeah. So, but overall, they've been outstanding all year, and they continue to be outstanding, and they give us a chance in every game because they protect Jordan Love so well. So, and we're going to need that against Minnesota.
Yep.
So, Minnesota has a very good front. So, Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker will have their hands full for sure. But I think they'll be up to the task.
Yeah. Simon, how about the run game?
Oh man! So we talk a lot about like pass game distribution, but the Packers had 9 different players run the ball, which is absolutely insane, like unheard of. Nobody else does this. Well, nobody else at all. Like nobody does this. Not even the Packers do this. And apparently I can't spell. There we go.
Since 1953, they
yeah, since 1950s. Josh Jacobs with another beastly game. It was good to see the Packers get so far ahead that they were able to take Josh Jacobs out like pretty quickly. And I think did he even have a carry in the second half? I don't think he did.
The first drive he did because I think they said I thought the deal was if they scored there, he's done. And
that's right. That's what it was. Okay. So he did go in for a drive in the second half, but he ended up with 13 carries for 69 yards. Nice. And a touchdown. Forced 4 missed tackles, and he had 46 yards after contact. Josh Jacobs, since the Packers bye, leads the league in forced missed tackles.
That tracks.
Yeah, he's been so good.
There was one I thought for sure he was losing like 4 or 5 yards, and all of a sudden the game's like 1 or 2 still. And I'm just like, people are like, oh, it's only a 1 or 2 yard run. No, that's like he saved several yard loss.
Yeah,
I think actually all 3 of the
running backs all had a carry. I was gonna talk about the Chris Brooks one,
loss, and then it's like, oh, we gained 4 yards in that play. Sweet.
That Chris Brooks carry where he like ducked under the dude's arm and ended up going up for an extra. Oh man,
wait. Did you see? Did you see who got the scepter this week?
Mm-mm.
Was it Josh Jacobs?
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So, Josh Jacobs got the Angry Runs scepter this week from Kyle.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, for absolutely destroying Tyrann Matthew and sending him into another universe.
People said Jacobs was washed.
I also heard
people have been
people
saying that was, first of all, nobody, but people that were saying it is people that thought that he didn't play for the Raiders at the end of his tenure there because he was injured to the point he couldn't play. The Raiders shut him down because they wanted a better draft pick. That's why he was shut down. Wasn't because he was, injury prone or washed or whatever. It's because the Raiders were tanking.
And they were terrible.
Hence,
still are.
I also heard DeAndre Swift was better than Josh Jacobs too, but then I don't know what happened to that. Anyways, back on track. Wilson had 11 for 52 yards, a touchdown, forced a couple missed tackles, and he had 25 yards after contact. Chris Brooks had 6 attempts for 23 yards, a touchdown, forced 4 missed tackles, had 24 yards after contact. 24 yards after contact. He only had 23 yards. I love seeing that shit.
Was it Chris Brooks or Wilson that absolutely trucked someone as well?
That was Wilson.
That was Wilson.
Yeah,
all three of them had like a disgustingly, like one good disgusting run where you're just like, there's no way they should have made it out of that.
Yeah.
I said it, and I know I tweeted it out on Monday night. There's nobody on the Packers that deserved to score a touchdown more than Chris Brooks.
Yeah.
I could not be more happy for Chris Brooks getting his first career touchdown.
Yeah. And then Watson had 2 for 23. It's good to see them giving him a couple end arounds. Melton had 1 for 14. Love had a carry for 2 yards. Kraft Shaft for 2 yards.
Love to see
Malik Willis ended up with 3 carries for -2 yards, and Reed took 1 for 5. So that's total 39 attempts, 188 yards, 3 touchdowns, 109 yards after contact, and 12 missed tackles forced.
Jesus. You know that they had 188 yards rushing, and the Saints only had 196 yards of total offense?
I mean, at one point in the game, I got 2 things to say now that you just said that. At one point in the game, in the first half, the Saints had 15 total plays, and the Packers had a 17-play drive. So, I mean, just let that be.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
When I saw that, I was like, holy shit, we are actually kicking their teeth in. It felt like after the first 2 drives that the Saints literally just wanted to go home. Like, they to me, it felt like they were a little kid that said, Mom, I want to go home, not having fun. I just want to go home right now.
Dad, can you come pick me up?
Yeah, they didn't want to be there. They didn't want to tackle. They didn't want to compete. The Packers just were whooping them all night.
I can't remember. I texted you guys earlier. I was like, this game's over. Like,
yeah, it was over.
I was like, it's over.
It was over.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for them to run a hard count out of the Kraft Shaft formation and get someone to jump.
I mean,
also, I'd love to see Kraft draw back, with a free play and bomb it once.
Oh my
God. So
awesome. Just to get the 5 yards off of it. I still think they might be able to do that against like a rival team that watches them a lot. Unfortunately, this year it's going to be hard because a lot of those games are on the road or whatever. But the remaining games would be on the road. So
the thing of it is that if they did get on the jump off sides, the play is probably going to get blown dead.
Yeah,
but if it happens and they don't blow it dead, like, fuck it, Tucker, like, drop back, throw it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I will say, the Kraft Shaft hasn't been stopped yet.
Yeah,
true.
He is 3 for 3.
Yeah.
I will say though, they need to throw a touchdown to a lineman against the Lions. Since the Lions want to steal our plays and invent plays, with our plays, we need to throw a touchdown to a lineman against them.
Yeah.
I guess if they got him to jump, Kraft could take the snap and just toss it back to Jordan Love. And Jordan,
that'd be fun too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Dakota said, "Come on, without Kamara, Carr, Shaheed, they walked in there knowing the pack was going to run through them."
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably did. And even still, like, the Packers were favored by 14 or 14.5, depending on where you looked. I did not expect them to win 34-0.
No.
Justin said, "I'm anxious to see who reverts back to the practice squad when Lloyd comes back. We have a really great running back room." I don't see any reason why they don't carry 4.
I was gonna say I think they carry 4. I think that's the route they'll go if they bring him back this year.
Yeah, Lloyd might be shut down, honestly.
Yeah, well, for this season for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Jake, 3rd and 4th down.
So started 4 for 4. So they started out hot in this game. They ended 6 of 13. So another game where they started kicking the crap out of the team they were playing, and then they kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit. So it's a little discouraging, but still 6 of 13 is pretty good. 3 for 3 on fourth down. We had 2 touchdowns on third downs, third and short situations. One to Wicks, where the guy apparently thought he was in the NBA and tried to flop. And then Wilson got a touchdown. We also had a third down conversion with the Kraft shaft. I wanted to be the first to say that, but I like that we're saying it twice in one episode.
I love that it's just become a thing in general.
It should just become a thing in general. Josh, it doesn't matter that we don't have Braylon. We have an amazing running back group. Yeah, leave the
They
pass.
have Josh Jacobs, a couple diamonds in the rust.
Yeah.
And a second round.
Yeah, we're fine.
Rookie.
1 for 6 on third and mediums. Those are tough. We threw the ball a lot on third and mediums. I'd like to see us run a little bit more. That's the 4 through 7 area. I trust the Packers to pick up 4 or 5 yards on third downs, honestly, if you schematically put it together. We did pick up 3 fourth downs, like I said. We picked up 2 of them on the same drive. That was the second drive of the game for the Packers. And that was part of that 17-play, 96-yard touchdown drive that took 8 minutes and 55 seconds. When they converted that second fourth down, I had my buddy over here watching the game, and I looked at him and I said, the Packers are going to score a touchdown, and this game's going to be over. And that's exactly what happened, because it wasn't a game after that. The Saints were ready to pack it up. So they did a good job. LaFleur was in his bag and called a great game all game, in my opinion.
Zane said it just feels like we haven't hit our ceiling as an offense, and I don't think they have. I think if they have something to play for, we'll see what happens with Minnesota and then Chicago. But this offense is capable of dropping 50. It is. It's just whether everything happens all at once together in the same game. And nothing is missed, nothing is dropped, anything like that. But I agree. It feels like they haven't hit the ceiling, and the ceiling is astronomically high. Not to mention, still without Luke Musgrave in the fold. They haven't been entirely healthy as a wide receiver room or as the running back room, like a guy with Marshawn Lloyd as well. Justin said he's at a Christmas party and everybody's giving him dirty looks for being on here. I mean, you can tell people the Packers are more important, Justin.
We won't just have everybody join the live, dude.
Yeah,
Christmas, all the watch Christmas a few days ago.
Pulled up on their phone. He said 21-20 or 24-21 from the head, 31-17 from the heart. But Justin, we appreciate you tuning in, even though you are at a Christmas party. We appreciate that. Going to the red zone, the Packers, their first trip, they got to the 1-yard line on a 20-yard Josh Jacobs run that he threw Tyrann Mathieu. Then had no gain, a negative 1-yard pop pass to Dontavian Wicks, and then the Dontavian Wicks touchdown. The second trip, they got to the 14-yard line on a 21-yard pass to Tucker Kraft. Then Josh Jacobs ran for 12, and then Josh Jacobs ran for a touchdown. Third trip, they got to the 20-yard line on an 8-yard run by Emmanuel Wilson, who ran the ball again. 14 yards then Christian Watson on the run. 5-yard run to Jaden Reed, and then Chris Brooks scored his first career touchdown, which again, could not be happier for Chris Brooks to score a touchdown. The selfless play that he made in the Jaguars game, he deserved to be in the end zone, and I love that Dontavian Wicks went and grabbed the ball for him right away so that he could have the touchdown ball from his first touchdown. And then later on in the game, they had their fourth trip into the red zone, got down to the 6-yard line on a 34-yard pass from Malik Willis to Jaden Reed. And then first and goal at the 6, 3 Emmanuel Wilson runs to get into the end zone. So the Packers were 4 for 4 in the red zone against the Saints, which you love to see. So, Bryant, how do you feel about Jordan Love in this game?
I thought he was fine, did what he needed to. I did think there was a couple plays he left out there. I think on the really ugly duck ball that he tried to throw outside, I just think it was a quick snap pop pass, and I just don't think he had proper grip on the ball. So I don't, look much into that. He probably just didn't have it on the laces. I did think there was a big crosser that he missed that he could have hit to Jaden Reed, almost similar to what Malik Willis did hit. I thought he had him open, probably could have hit him. Other than that,
what you're saying is Malik Willis is better than Jordan Love.
Yeah, exactly what I said.
Yeah.
So
just wanted to make sure I was reading between the lines properly.
Yep, exactly. I love Jordan's smile when you see that throw from Malik Willis to Jaden Reed. Like, you can see they just all love each other and support each other. But overall, I thought he had an okay game, fine game. He had a couple balls like batted down or tipped or just a little off. But Early in the season, some of those bats, like that one that where the Saints players ran into each other, so it didn't result in an interception, those were going against us. I feel like we're kind of like the tide has turned a little bit, and those are not going against us. So that was nice to see. So overall, solid game. I feel like he did what he needed to, and if he needed to throttle it back up for any reason in this game, he probably could have. But I think they pretty much got to that. The game was over after the first 5 drives because it went touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt, touchdown. So. I just don't think he really cared. And not that he didn't care. I don't want to say that. I just don't think that they had to put a lot on tape. I feel like they're like, we won this game. Let's just vanilla it the rest of the way.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I wrote too, is like he was surgical the first 3 drives, and the next couple drives are kind of average, and then they started pulling starters. Simon, what did you think of Jordan Love?
Yeah, I think you guys kind of hit most of it. He had a few throwaways as well, so kind of like those were plays that are going to take away from how his percentage looked. But one thing I found, Jordan Love was really good against the blitz. He went 9 for 11 for 81 yards and a touchdown against the blitz, which is really good, and that's way improved from what we saw earlier this season. Other than that, I don't really have a lot to add. Like Brian said, I think he did exactly what he needed to do, and he got away with allowing the second, third string guys to get some snaps, and we take those all day.
Yeah. Jake, did you have anything to add on Jordan Love?
Nothing specifically on Jordan Love. Just kind of hilarious that the Packers had 2 quarterbacks better than the Saints had 1. So good job by Green Bay.
I will say hell of a throw. I know people are like, oh, he could have let Jaden Reed a little more and he could have been running. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, you can't be 100% perfect all the time. That was still a laser to Jaden Reed on that one big one to get him out towards midfield. I think on his last drive before they kicked the field goal and pulled him.
Can I address this? Zane, it is Toyota-thon. We don't have to worry about Jordan Love.
He did have 0 turnover-worthy plays today, this week.
Yeah, that's good to know as well.
I think that's like 6 weeks running. Like, I don't remember the last time where I watched him play. He hasn't
picking since the Chicago game, which is 5
Yeah.
games.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's go to the preview. Let's start talking Packers Vikings. This game did get flexed to 325. They couldn't flex it any farther than that because they're on CBS, so they can only flex it so far. So that's where they moved it to, is the 325 game. So starting with Bryant, what are you looking for from the Packers defense against the Vikings offense?
Yeah, their left side of their line is bad. Okay, so their left tackle, their left guard, and including their center, give up a lot of sacks. The Vikings have given up Love-a-thon. But they've given up 46 sacks on the season. That part of the line has been credited for 16 of them, which you would think the other side, but there's plenty that like O'Neal is very good. He's only given up 2. That doesn't, and the right guard, it's not like the right guard has given up 30. So the rest of them are just like, they probably got rid of the ball. But I think what they need to do is attack that, overstack that left side of that line, bring some linebacker blitzes to that side, and get Darnold kind of rushing a little bit, trying to get rid of the ball and get a couple a good handful of sacks. And then the one part I'm really worried about is the middle of the field against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. People have killed us there. We're going to be missing, no Evan Williams. Quay's not going to be back, so they need to figure out a way to try to do something in the middle of the field to just not absolutely get annihilated like we did against the Lions. You got to slow them down somehow in the middle of the field, otherwise it's just going to be bad. The outside, we've been playing phenomenal on the outside, but in the middle of the field, it'll be interesting if we get Bullard back, if they have anything up their sleeve to try to help with this. So we'll see. But you need to pressure. The defense just needs to pressure Sam Darnold, who can throw some picks and take some sacks, and then just try to slow down Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in the middle of the field.
Yeah. Simon, what do you have thoughts on the Packers defense against the Vikings offense?
Yeah, I found something on the middle of the field. Let me highlight it so I can read it. All right, so Packers linebackers have allowed the most receptions with 104, second most yards, 1,052, and an 11th highest completion percentage, 78.2% as a unit in the middle of the field.
I could have went the rest of my night without hearing that, so
You're welcome, buddy.
That's
what I'm here for. I'm curious at what it kind of looks like with Cooper back in the middle though, and how it's evolved. Because having him back, I feel like it hasn't been as bad. I think Wilson and McDuffie are.
That Dolphins game, I feel, had to.
It was really that was a really bad game for the linebackers.
That and the Lions. The Lions game is really bad too.
Yeah, they crushed us in the middle of the field.
We're letting anyone have whatever they want short underneath, and unfortunately, when you go against high efficiency quarterbacks like Goff or Darnold has been this year, it's going to kill us. So I'm hoping they have something for that.
No,
but Darnold's kind of lived off the deep ball this year, which has obviously worked out.
No,
sorry,
you're getting ahead on my paper.
All right, Jake, go ahead.
Jake, go ahead.
Earlier in the game,
no, he's getting way ahead of my paper.
Earlier in the show, if you have something to say, just make sure you say it. Now he's telling you to stop.
But yeah, Brian kind of hit most of it on the head. To be honest, I had to say, I mean, all the eyes are going to be on the Packers secondary without Jair this week. And like Aaron Jones has been pretty solid, but the Minnesota run game hasn't been that good this year. They're like near bottom of the league in yards per rush average.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jake, what are you looking for from the Packers defense?
Yeah, so I'm just going to piggyback off what they said real quick because I was noticing something too. The Vikings really try to stretch you horizontally both ways. I don't want to give them too much credit because I actually do hate the Vikings fans. I think they're freaking low-life POSs. But Kevin O'Connell is actually a very good head coach for them. He's young. He has a very bright future in this league. He's going to be a coach for a long time if that's what the Vikings are not. But he really does a nice job mixing up the play calls. So he does a nice job, stretching you outside the numbers and then hitting you over the middle deep. They've done a really nice job moving Jay Jettas around a lot this year, putting him in the slot a bunch and putting a lot of pressure on your middle linebackers and your safeties. In terms of third down defense, the Packers are 7th in the NFL at 35.71. Over the last 3 weeks, we're the 13th best third down defense. In terms of third down offense for the Vikings, they are at 40.57%, 11th in the NFL. They're 11th in the NFL over the last 3 weeks as well. Red zone, the Packers are giving up touchdowns on 60% of the red zone trips. They've only had one attempt in the last 2 games. So they're doing a good job not allowing people to get to the red zone. And then 0 for 1 over the last 8 quarters of football is very good. I do want to say, in terms of Minnesota, this is another thing I got to give them credit for. Their red zone offense, they're scoring touchdowns on 60.38 on the season. Over the last 3 weeks, they're scoring touchdowns on 90% of their trips to the red zone. That's insanity. At home, they are the 8th best red zone offense at 68%. So Packers on the road are 24th best red zone defense. So that could be a determining factor in this game. Their offense versus our defense in the red zone.
Brad brought up something that Steve mentioned before. He said Gary scaring Lisa Salters during Love's interview was hilarious. It is funny. Darian said, I enjoy the improvement of Keyshawn Nixon and Eric Stokes at cornerback so far. They've been better than people are giving them credit for.
Coaching matters. Coaching matters. Coaching matters. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it shows up in the missed tackles, I think, as well. Looking at it, what I've taken away, and this I kind of touched on this and teased it a little bit in the recap. Healthy Wyatt, happy life. He's obviously good on his own to have run stops, be good in the pass rush, and I believe it's helping open things up for guys like Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Enagbare, and Brenton Cox. We keep talking about how good these guys have been since the Preston Smith trade, since the trade deadline, and you look at just the last few weeks, Devontae Wyatt being back and healthy helps open things up for those guys. So it's really less about, Kenny Clark or Rashawn Gary needing to do things individually. I'm really looking at this defensive line as an entire unit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the games, you watch the way that they rush the passer, it's very Baltimore style where they are trying to run shit into each other and get offensive linemen trying to block the same guy to open things up for each other. Rashawn Gary and Quay Walker have done this a bunch of times. Edrin Cooper and Kenny Clark, like they've done this. Carl Brooks, LVN, they've all done this for each other, where they'll start blocking one guy and then just veer over to block the guy next to them while the guy is still currently blocking them, so the other guy can loop around for a sack. And Devontae Wyatt and TJ Slayton, like this unit is really more a collective than individuals, is how I'm viewing it. So I'm going to keep taking things away from that. The way that we were saying it earlier in the season, that there's more to pass rush than sacks. And we saw on film guys doing things unselfishly to open things up for each other. So I'll be looking for more of that. Bryant, what are you looking for on special teams?
Yeah, I can't afford any mistakes. We probably, in a dome, you're not going to see many return opportunities, more than likely. We'll see if Keyshawn takes any out. But for McManus, they have a really good kicker in Minnesota. He don't miss a whole lot. So McManus needs to match that too. So, points are going to be at a premium this game. Not because I think it'll be a defensive struggle, because I think you're going to need every single point you can get to try to beat this team. So just make your kicks. Whelan should have a return to form game, because there's really, he's kicking inside a damn dome. So hopefully he doesn't have to punt too much, but when he does, pin him back. That's, so just make your kicks.
Yeah. As far as coaching goes, my main thing is that we can't let the Vikings get off to the fast start that they got off to in Green Bay. And we'll talk about this, I'm sure, as we get into the offense, but that was Jordan Love's first game back from his injury. Mm-hmm. So I think that was also a factor. But again, we'll talk about that a little bit more in the offensive part of it. The other thing that I want to say is Matt LaFleur is smart to be on the fence with Christian Watson and even Jair Alexander. This is a situation where the Packers are pretty much locked into the 6th seed. They have to win out, and the Vikings will have to lose out for them to jump to the 5 seed. And they're still ahead of the Commanders by a full game. So they're pretty much locked in to the 6th seed. So having these guys ready for the playoffs is really the bigger piece of importance. Other than that, I will say, as far as Jair Alexander is concerned, what I've taken away from the reports that I've seen, mainly from Matt Schneidman, is that Jair had a setback in his recovery. And that's why he went from full to limited to did not practice. And that's why he's still out. If he ends up having a surgery, I respect him more for trying to rehab it and be able to play through it than just saying, yep, it's week 10 and I'm just going to end my season.
Agreed.
I respect him for trying to make it so, hey, if I can play week 18 and the playoffs, I'll do that. I don't understand the weaving of people that are trying to somehow demean Jair for not having a surgery 6 weeks ago. So I'll leave that at that. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Simon, what are you looking for from the Packers on offense against the Vikings defense?
I think you kind of said a lot about it, but getting down 28-0 and relying heavily on the pass to get back into the game is not the way the Packers are going to win this game. It's just not the way they roll. The Vikings do have a pretty stingy defense when it comes to the run, but you got to just stick with it. They passed, I think, 79% of the game last time versus Minnesota, which is the highest in a game since 2019 for the Packers.
Damn.
Yeah. The offense is at their best when they have a really balanced attack.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Jacobs has obviously been on an absolute tear. We pretty much gave him praise all this whole season. He's been good. Mm-hmm. And it's Toyotathon, so Love's going to go out there and he's going to have a good game. And this is, to me, a Josh Myers game as well. Brian Flores loves throwing blitzes at the Packers. And like I said earlier, Jordan Love's been better against the blitz in the second half of the season. Mm-hmm. So Josh Myers has to be out there making good blocking calls and shifts for the offensive line for this offense to be successful.
For sure. Bryant, what are you looking for from the Packers offense?
Yeah, Simon kind of hit the nail on the head with their rush defense is very, very stingy, only allowing 3.9 yards per carry. What we're going to have to do is we're going to protect Jordan really well, and I think maybe use our short passing game to kind of make up for some of that, the running game. I do agree we need to stick with the running game as long as it's being somewhat effective. If not, they seem to have gotten back to the screen game a little bit over the last couple games. So, a Brian Flores defense that's going to over pursue or maybe be very aggressive. Maybe you can sneak a couple screens in there. Just be careful because Van Winkle is very good at stealing.
Ginkle.
Huh?
Ginkle. Van Ginkle.
Whatever. Van Winkle, Van Dinkle.
Hey,
Grenard's been good too.
Some respect.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Former Badger.
He can go fuck himself this week. How about that?
I'm down with that. I did, dude.
Damn.
But, be careful against him. He is a good player there. You happy? But I do think their secondary, they can take the ball away, but they can also give up a lot of yards, and you can be effective moving the ball against them through the air. So Jordan Love has to be careful and be smart with his throws, but I think, you can definitely scheme up some plays to get people open downfield against this team. So if Watson doesn't play, which I would be a little surprised after not practicing, we're going to need someone like Bo Melton who can be a little bit of a speedster to step up as well. And same with Malik Heath and, Wicks and Jaden Reed to have really solid games. We have Musgrave back out there, so we just need those guys to step up.
Yeah. Jake, what are you looking for from the Packers on offense?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with third down offense. Third down offense, Packers are 14th in the NFL. They've been gradually climbing that number, so that's a good thing. They're itching towards the number I wanted them to be at the whole season. They're at 38.55%, so that's pretty solid. Over the last 3 weeks, they are at 40%. So that's the number I kind of wanted, 43%. Just, extending drives. Third down defense, the Vikings are very good. They're second in the NFL at 33.68%. They're actually the only team that's they're close to the Lions. The Lions are the first best third down defense. So we got some good teams in this division. It's going to be a big time game. Over the last 3 weeks, they're only allowing third down conversions of 28.57%. That is insane percentage, and they're third. I was like, what? That's crazy. A main thing that we're going to have to look out for, and everybody's been talking about, is Jordan Love versus the blitz, right? Minnesota has the highest blitz rate in the NFL at 38%. That's crazy. Jordan Love in the first 7 weeks of the season had the third worst QBR against the blitz. In the last 6 games since then, he has the number 1 QBR in the NFL against the blitz at 97. So good job by him. That's going to be important. Jordan Love versus the blitz and third downs. That's what's going to be the determining factor on offense.
Zane said we got to win on first and second down. Absolutely. As far as the passing game distribution is concerned, just keep doing what you're doing. We have the wide receivers. If Watson can't go, we still have guys. Have guys in the room that we trust, even Malik Heath and Bo Melton, like Jake and Brian were saying. We also have a tight end. Tucker Kraft is absolutely a stud. His name is going to come up again. So that, and then I like seeing Josh Jacobs involved in the passing game. He's not going to get 30 carries in a game, but if he gets 25 touches and it's 20 carries and 5 targets, I'm happy with that. As far as Justin Jefferson's concerned, Matthew, it's going to be, we're kind of all in agreement that it's going to be a committee. Adarian said, I'm hoping Luke Musgrave gets some targets this game while he has returned. Honestly, as far as targets are concerned, if he gets 1 or 2, great. If not, I just want to see his snap count increase. That's really my main thing. As far as the red zone, the Packers are up to 11th in red zone touchdown percentage. I will say, if we're going off of feel and the context of some of the things that they've done in the red zone, I'd have no problem calling the Packers a top 10 red zone offense. As far as, like I said, the context is concerned. Officially, they are scoring on 59.7% of their red zone drives. Minnesota allows 54.8%. So if they get 5 chances in the red zone, I'd be happy with 3 out of 5 or better. Going into the injury designations, Bryant, what's on the injury report?
Yeah, for the Vikings, they're pretty damn healthy this game, to be honest. They're missing Morneau, who's a backup tight end. They looks like they'll get Ivan Pace Jr. back, who's been a very good linebacker for them. For the Packers, it's not the same. We are unfortunately going to be without Jai Alexander. We're going to be without Evan Williams. We're going to be without Quay Walker. Christian Watson is spotty at best, and then Javon Bullard. I guess he's looked good, so we might get him back at least. So we definitely have some injuries, but hopefully, that doesn't make for excuses. But I will say if Watson isn't, 90% or if there's any chance of him really, which a bruise, he probably wouldn't be re-injuring or anything, I would say just hold him out because ultimately being healthy into the playoffs is the most important.
All right. Jake, what is the weather going to be like?
They're playing a dome.
Okay. Moving on. Simon, what is your matchup to watch?
Sorry, I was talking trash on Twitter. The secondary versus the Vikings wide receivers. I don't think that's surprising.
Yep. All right, that makes sense. I had something similar written down, but unfortunately with Jair being out, that changes things, but I'm not going to go too far into it because I have similar thoughts when I get to X Factors. So, Bryant, what is the matchup you're watching?
Yeah, Jeff Halfley versus the left side of the Vikings offensive line. I think if you can overpressure them, I think you can beat them there. I think you can basically get home and beat them on that left side, and that's how you disrupt this team and go in there and upset them.
I like it. Jake, what is the matchup you're watching?
Bryant, I like that one too. That was good. I have Packers versus short game. In the Packers' 4 losses this season, they have allowed opposing passers to go 36 of 43 for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns and a pick, and a completion percentage of 84% in the short game. Darnold's average time to throw is 3.8 seconds per Next Gen Stats. So I don't think that's going to be an Achilles. The Achilles heel for the Packers has been the short game all year. So I don't think it's going to be a problem versus Darnold, but going to have to watch people like Aaron Jones and TJ Hockenson underneath.
I like it. All right. Zane said Valentine legacy game incoming, and Brad said coverage on Addison. So we can combine that with that. Let's talk X Factors. Simon, who is your X Factor?
My X Factor is Carrington Valentine. Hey, who said it?
Let me jump in because my X Factor is Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine. Because I had written down, regardless of what happens with Jair, one of them is going to have to be covering Addison.
That's fair.
So that's what I had in there. Bryant, who's your X Factor?
Mine is Xavier McKinney. Kind of thinking that same thing. I think he's going to be used to double Justin Jefferson a lot, or playing kind of roaming around that deep part of the field. And we said they take some deep shots. To win this game, it's going to require a turnover or two, and I think he has a chance to maybe give that to us.
I like it.
Or maybe pressure up the middle and an overthrown ball over the middle of the field to him as well.
Jake, who's your X Factor?
My X Factor is controlling the big plays. The Packers gave up 4 20-plus yard passes in that Week 4 matchup versus the Vikings, and that doesn't include another 18-yarder that they hit to Addison early in the game as well. So you're talking basically 5 passes that were over 20 yards. And remember, they took their foot off the gas after they were winning 28-0 and really didn't start playing again until the game got, basically within 1 score. So got to control the big-time plays.
It is understandable. So Justin gave us his score predictions earlier. Darian said, I feel like the Packers need to be better in the trenches to win. Our pass rush wasn't present against the Vikings last time, but it should be there this time. So much has changed since Week 4. Yeah. You're talking 12 weeks ago, 3 months ago. So a lot has changed. So going into it, Bryant, give me your score prediction from the head.
Yeah, like I said, I'll never pick against the Packers, so but it's just it's a superstition thing for me. But I'll go 30-28 Packers from the head.
I have 30-24 Packers.
So do I, dude.
I have 30-27. Yeah. 30s. We're scoring 30 this week.
Understandable.
I think so too.
All right, Bryant from the heart.
I'll go 35-28.
I have 33-20. Bryant? Sorry, Simon?
The other guy?
Yeah, the other guy that used to be in the Army that still is.
30-23. Can't escape it, dude.
I have 31-20 Green Bay.
I like it. All right. Let's go to some Simon Says. I will always go first with Bryant because he lives for this segment.
Yeah, there's a
Bryant,
reason why my heart score is what I said it was. So Jordan Love has a few games in his career where he's thrown 4 touchdown passes. This will be his first 5 touchdown pass game.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I also bold prediction him 4 touchdown passes. So, yeah, I could honestly see it. This could be a very back and forth game.
All right. I'll say this. 3 of those touchdowns going to Tucker Kraft, baby.
Let me jump in because Tucker Kraft is going to stiff arm Bynum on the way to one of those touchdowns.
All right, Tucker Kraft getting some love this week.
Oh, I love it.
He could.
I honestly thought you were gonna say Kraft shaft for a touchdown.
Oh,
I totally
love
jinxed
it.
this last week.
Dude, if we score a touchdown on a Kraft shaft, might be a cleanup on aisle pants.
So one of the reasons why I want the Packers to win this game so badly too is I want to bring back that meme, that really crappy one I made last week where I pasted Jordan Love's face over the great Aaron Rodgers.
Is terribly photoshopped.
Yeah, I was like, obviously, dude, I put like 2 minutes of work into it. I don't give a shit. You get what's going on. Get what's going on.
I missed it. I'll have to look at it.
Really?
Right.
I made that last year when they won
year.
in Minnesota.
I remember that.
It was a really shitty job. I did it on my
Love's
phone.
head over Aaron Rodgers when he was sipping the Purple Crush.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember that now.
Going to the defensive side of the ball, Darian said his X factor is the linebackers. Cooper has been showing up. The other linebackers need to be better prepared, especially in coverage. I mean, that's what they drafted Cooper for. So, Apham said we're ridiculous.
Yep.
You don't even know half of it, bud.
I like the next one. Purple, I've never seen
to win. He can't stand the purple incarnations.
I've never heard purple incarnations before. That's a good one.
All right, Brian, you got one for defense?
I do. The Packers produce 5 sacks, including 1 that goes for a strip sack, fumble, or touchdown recovery. And I'll call that Edrin Cooper scooping that up. Maybe Gary forces it and Coop scoops it.
A Coop scoop.
Scoop.
A Cooper scooper. Nice.
A Coop scoop into a Kraft shaft for a 2-point conversion.
Well, anytime Edrin Cooper recovers a fumble for the rest of his life, we have the Cooper scooper.
We're not good at this.
Fucking
I love that.
I'm great at this. Crash Nap and Cooper scooper? Those are elite. Jake, you have one for the defensive side of the ball?
7 sacks, 24 pressures.
Ah, damn.
2 turnovers.
7 sacks?
Just so everyone knows, they're both.
Dude, they've given up 46 on the year. Could happen.
It's less than 3 a game.
No,
It's time for 7 in one game. Okay.
We've only done that one time this year. No, 2. Shoot.
We've done that twice.
Yeah. My bad.
more than 3 per game. But
Mine is super
they've played 15 games,
vanilla
46
compared to the
sacks.
rest of yours.
No,
I
this
just
is
have
week.
Darnold for 3 turnovers.
Oh yeah, fuck, you're right. Yeah, I thought it was week. Yeah, I thought they had already played 17 games.
Yeah,
Sure.
I have Darnold
Yeah,
for
right.
3 turnovers. That's all I had.
Ooh,
Zane
can see it.
said McKinney for 2 picks.
I really want him to get another one. I want him to take that lone number 1 spot so bad.
agree.
He was this close last week.
I know.
Did you guys watch how close it was? It was really close.
I was in the stands and I'm just like, throw the challenge flag, Matt.
It's the end of the half.
I don't give a shit.
He comes out the first play of the third quarter is him challenging the play.
Damn, Brand's going for blood,
I would have
dude.
been okay with it. All right. Zane said one of them goes for 6. Jordan said it's been fun seeing three of the team's newest members having some of the biggest impact between Xavier, Jacobs, and McManus. I expect them all to play a big part against the Vikings. Absolutely.
The free agent signings, you cannot give them enough credit, and Goot too, how good all those players have been for this team. Just absolutely changed this season.
You could think about it even going into next season, because let's be honest, they picked up Chris Brooks this offseason, right? Or in season or whatever. Mm-hmm. Marshawn Lloyd's going to have a spot in this team. Unless they're carrying 4 running backs, one of those, either Emmanuel Wilson or Chris Brooks, is worth a pick. So it's very possible you could see that. I know that's jumped away into the offseason, but just what Goody has been doing with, picking people off the pile and stuff, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah. Yes, Zane, absolutely agreed.
Yeah, Zane said they wouldn't be 11-4 without
exactly. 100% agreed.
Absolutely. Yeah. All righty. Well, we really, really appreciate everybody watching the live the whole time, commenting along. We love the comments. That's why we do the shows live, so that we can respond to them and interact with them. So we appreciate people taking the time to join us live. We will be live back next week on Tuesday night. That's our normally scheduled programming as far as our Packers shows are concerned. So we will be back on Tuesday night next week. So come join us Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and we will see you guys then. Go Pack, go, and let's come with a win.
Go Pack.